Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Mega Magikarp YouTube channel. I'm Magikarp, and today we have a slight shot in the dark. I'm talking about what I think are going to be the best rolls for Hawkmoon, the newly reprised exotic cannon for Destiny 2, and this is the first exotic to feature random rolls in the entire history of Destiny 2, which actually has me excited and a little bit worried, mostly just because I really hope Bungie doesn't really lean into this into the future. I just hope that this is like a one-time thing, mostly because of the fact that if all the exotics going forward would have random rolls, it would be a very long and grindy process to try to get all the exotics you want, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, but exotics are already hard enough to get. But anyway, I'm rambling on. Let's get into it, but before we do, a super quick reminder, if you enjoy the video and you want to see more like it, it would be fantastic if you could hit the subscribe button to make the channel reach its first milestone of 1,000 subs. It'll be the first major stepping stone to making YouTube videos for you guys for the future. So let's get into the weapon itself. So Hawkmoon, it's a very interesting reprisal. In Destiny 1, it was a 13-round magazine, somehow. Like, the logistics of it doesn't make sense. And it had the perks Luck in the Chamber and Holding Aces. And it basically meant 3 random bullets would be more powerful, about 20%. And before they changed how the stacking worked, you could randomly stack all 3 extra power bullets into one, meaning you could randomly body shot one-shot someone, which was incredibly lucky and also not very skill intensive. But modern Hawkmoon is far more deterministic of a kill. 8-round magazine, you get stacks of paracausal charge based on either precision hits or any kill, and the final shot of the magazine will always do more damage based on the number of paracausal charge. The key numbers are ×6, you can one-hit a player, and ×7, you can one-body a player or one-hit a super. It makes it a fun weapon and a powerhouse, but I'm not actually here to review the weapon, and if you want a full-blown review, I would recommend Cool Guy to look into what he thinks of the weapon, link in the description down below. But the reason I'm even making this video is the perk everyone's kinda stuck with right now, Transformative, where it denotes that future rolls of the weapon will have random rolls. So right now, everyone's using the exact same Hawkmoon. Corkscrew Rifling, Smooth Grip, Alloy Mag, and Transformative, which in-game doesn't do anything. So in a way, everyone's using the most basic Hawkmoon. However, there's more to the weapon than just this, despite how powerful Paracausal Shot is, and it's not really all that it's capable of. And I will say, at this exact moment in time, we don't know how future rolls of Hawkmoon will drop. As I was actually scripting this video, there was a video that came out by Cheese Forever that denotes something that he did in order to go into an unreleased mission where you're presumably able to go get Hawkmoon rolls. I'm not going to put any of the thumbnails for that video or a link to that, mostly just because I want to make sure that anybody who wants the spoilers can go for it on their own terms, and I don't want to give anybody spoilers on my own channel. So if you're interested in that, I would recommend going to Cheese Forever's channel for that. So with all that being said, that means that right now we don't actually have access to these random rolls. But I'm going to go under the assumption that when these random exotics drop, it'll be like a normal exotic. One row across the top, no customization, rather than how legendaries have the 2-2-1-1 style of stacking the selectable barrels and magazine perks in one main perk in one of each column. We're gonna start on the far right with the biggest wildcard of the bunch, which is the grips, which you normally don't see, and we'll start with the biggest dud, the combat grip, which on most weapons would give 20 extra recoil direction. But the problem with Hawkmoon is that it has a base 96 recoil, which is actually fantastic, so it's really straight and vertical. So this is not going to impact your gameplay whatsoever. +4 recoil direction is basically worthless on this weapon. Next up, we have Textured Grip, +13 to handling and -4 to stability. Also Polymer Grip, just a flat +9 to handling. And on the surface, if you're a KBM player, this is not a bad grip, especially with certain main perks I'll be getting to in a bit. But I will point out, there's a lot of perks on the main slot in column 3 that will increase handling, so it could be a lot of redundancy for things you don't need. So for keyboard and mouse players, keep an eye on Textured. For controller, Polymer Grip if you want these handling buffs, but pay attention if you have one of those handling perks already. Next up, there's Smooth Grip, +4 to stability and handling each. This is what comes base on the weapon, and it's never going to be one you're sad to see. It's the 2 stats you can always be happy with, and even though it's never going to be the best grip, you're never going to be completely sad that you got it either. Finally, we have the last grip, one that has the best potential in a lot of ways. We have Heavy Grip, +9 to stability for -9 handling, and the reason I'm high on this one is mainly what I was just mentioning about the other 2 grips before. We're going to see a lot of handling buffs in the 3rd column selection of perks, where that handling penalty is not going to come into play at all. You get all the upside of the increased stability with none of the handling penalties. But rather than beating around the bush, we'll just go right into that column now. Killing Wind, Eye of the Storm, Snapshot, Quick Draw, and Surplus are all a total of 5 different ways you can increase your handling on Hawkmoon, and all of them are phenomenal perks in their own right. Snapshot and Quick Draw, really easy to understand those, just faster ADS speed and getting close to maxing out your handling respectively. Killing Wind, people are really excited about. It increases not only your handling, but also your character movement speed and range, which for PvP in particular, people are eyeballing as their god roll perk. I'm going to say in 6s, that's probably the case for me. However, in 3v3 situations like Trials of Osiris, I'm not particularly high on Killing Wind. It's a little bit of a win more perk. I don't think it's going to be bad, but it's not the one that I would consider to be the god roll for PvP if you're going into a competitive playlist. Surplus, on the other hand, is the most exciting one for me. It adds to your reload, handling, and stability when you have abilities charged. And every single one of those things is phenomenal for a hand cannon. And the stability buff in particular excites me for the possibility of landing some really ridiculously crazy far shots. Eye of the Storm adds to your handling and accuracy when your health is low, which is really powerful when it's activated. It gives opening shot level bonus to your accuracy and very fast handling. But the problem a lot of people have with this perk is a lack of agency. You don't choose when it's active, but in a lot of ways, that's not necessarily true. It's PvP. You're going to be shot. Hawkmoon's all about hitting precision shots and hitting them reliably, so the ease of hitting those last hits under fire are definitely in my sights to add to the whole package, specifically for PvP. I would not sleep on Eye of the Storm whatsoever for Hawkmoon. This is one where if you get the weapon and you go on and tear in PvP, you can probably thank Eye of the Storm for. Rounding out the column, and speaking of said perk, Opening Shot. The first shot has roughly 20% more range and accuracy. I know a lot of people like this perk. It's personally not for me. I don't like how it's only for the first shot, which is presumably the easiest to hit anyway, since that's when your cone accuracy is going to be the highest. And Hawkmoon wants repeated hits. So for me personally, I would love to have Moving Target over Opening Shot, which adds movement speed bonuses and aim assist to your weapon when you aim down sight. So basically, you have better aim assist all the time and increased strafe speed, both of which I appreciate in PvP. It's very subtle and not very flashy. It's not going to be Killing Wind where you're going to be zipping around like Speedy Gonzalez. I just realized as I was making that reference, probably nobody younger than me is going to understand that reference. But it's still a very solid perk that you're never going to actually be sad about. Lastly, we have Hipfire Grip and Rangefinder, which Hipfire isn't a bad perk anymore, but you really have to want it. And even then, I just think most of the other perks outweigh it. And Rangefinder, I personally love this perk on hand cannons. It has the lowest ceiling but the highest floor buffs on the scale of things you can get on this hand cannon. Just gives you a bunch of extra range, usually about 3 meters worth. It's also in the category of not very exciting perks like Moving Target, but I think that if you want a perk that's going to be on almost all the time and you don't have to think about, either Rangefinder or Moving Target are going to do wonders for you. Finally, we have the barrels, and you may have noticed I skipped over the magazines, and that's because Hawkmoon only has one. Alloy Mag reloads faster when the mag is empty, really plays into the exotic perk, lets you reload faster after dealing damage with the final shot. Of the barrels I don't care for, I don't like arrowhead break on this weapon. It's a fantastic barrel in most places, but not here. The base 94 recoil direction is already taken care of, and those handling perks make up the majority of the third column. Corkscrew and Fluted Barrel are going to add more to your weapon, with plus 4 stability to both, Corkscrew giving additional range, and Fluted gives you even more handling than arrowhead break. And if you do get a handling perk, at that point it matters on your input method what barrel you want. If you're a KBM player, something like Quick Draw would pair really well with Full Bore. Jumping up the range kicks the stability down and hurts the handling, which Quick Draw you won't care too much about the handling minus. If you're on controller though, I'd say Small Bore is a solid choice, plus 6 to both stability and range, both stats you want, and handling would presumably be your main perk of choice. Chambered Compensator is definitely inferior to polygonal rifling in this weapon since it hurts handling for no real benefit. The extra 6 recoil direction isn't really necessary at all. If you manage to get a perk like Quick Draw, then the handling deficit doesn't actually make a difference to you, but if you have a perk like Rangefinder, then Chambered Compensator is definitely going to make you a little bit sad. The same thing can also be said for Extended Barrel compared to Hammerforged rifling. The loss of handling isn't really worth it unless you have a perk like Quick Draw. And that more or less takes us through all of the possible perks that you can get on Hawkmoon. Myself personally, I'm looking to snag Small Bore, Surplus, and Heavy Grip as my combination of choice. I think that most people in competitive PvP are going to look for a lot of range perks and Killing Wind for their main Hawkmoon role, but let me know what you think in the comment section down below. How do you want to have your Hawkmoon drop? How do you think about the way that they reprise the weapon? Do you think other exotics should have random rolls going forward, or do you think this is better as a one-of? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and ring the bell for notifications on new videos. And if you want to see more, be sure to click on the videos on screen. And if you really want to help me out, consider joining me on my Patreon. Every little bit helps to keep my videos going and keep my lights on. We'll see you on the next video.